Hi everyone.
Hi guys.
So lovely to see you again. Dan and I today just thought we'd have a little chat about a woman, a perfumer, a genius, all-round legend that we love, and her latest
perfume as well.
And her perfume. I mean, that's the side thing. We love Liz. Yes, the wonderful Liz Moore's Papillon Perfumery. And I don't know how you pronounce this. Hera.
I think I would say Hera. I'm not really sure.
But this is the latest.
It is her
This
latest.
is her latest thing.
So she's been one of those kind of perfumers, I guess, that we've really kind of started to kind of follow.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a few perfumers.
Not literally. That would
not stalking. We're not stalking, but being able to really kind of keep a close eye on. She sent us some samples of her new fragrance, Hera, which is about to be released in a few weeks. So thank you very much, Liz. We've reviewed her last few releases, and we've talked about her fragrances. And they've cropped up in lists. They seem to really appeal to our tastes.
Yeah, but there's always a sort of vintage nod, isn't there? That I think we really grasped hold of.
It was interesting. I think with the last one, Spell 125, it felt a little bit different. It was a little bit more, not experimental, but it felt it was going away from that vintage world into probably the most masculine as well, because it was quite piney, wasn't it?
And maybe more ephemeral and mysterious somehow.
Yeah, not ephemeral. It wasn't necessarily short-lived, but it is, more difficult to understand. Yeah. But anyway, so
I liked it a lot, though. I remember loving it.
It is, and I want to smell it more. Anyway, here we are, Hera or Hera. We're not sure. So this is her 8th fragrance. It's her first extrait de parfum.
Yeah.
I think that's right. So it was created for her daughter Jasmine.
Yes.
Who for her wedding.
That's such a nice thing to do, isn't it?
It's an amazing...
although I have to say, if you were... not that you're my mother, but if you were my mother and I was getting married, I would definitely want you to make me a perfume.
So cool.
I think that's
but also amazing that her daughters then allowed her to share it.
Quite
a personal thing.
Absolutely.
To share it with everybody else. So Hera, or Hera, however you pronounce it, is the kind of the queen of the gods, the wife of Zeus, the queen of the goddess of marriage and women.
Powerful lady.
So we're expecting a powerful, strong feminine fragrance. So I have had this for a couple of days, and I've worn it a little bit. I've also put it on this morning, so.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
So Joe can smell a bit of the dry down. So as I said, this is not released yet. It's being released on the day of the May full moon, which I think is also called the flower moon.
So that's in the middle of May?
It's in the middle of May. So it's the 16th of... No, we're not going to use cards. We're going to put it on screen. That's going to be the 16th of May in the UK, and then it's a few days later worldwide. And interestingly, Liz has announced that after this fragrance, she's taking a bit of a break. Yeah,
I just found that out today from listening to the video. Interesting. I mean, when you've put in that much work and done those amazing things, you've got 8 perfumes now out there in the world. I guess that's nice to have a rest, but please not for too long.
Yeah, I mean, because we love your perfume. Lots of perfumers, and even perfumers whose work we enjoy as well, have been released 8 perfumes a year.
A week sometimes. I mean, there's some very prolific people out there, aren't there?
And actually, I think Liz, when was Spell 125? That was less than a year ago, wasn't it? But it was under a year ago. So it's Bengal Rouge, Spell 125, and Hera have been released in almost uncharacteristic, kind of reasonably quick succession. So I hope she doesn't take a... I don't think she will take it. It sounded like she had some other things in the pipeline. She's just taking a slight... break. Anyway, I don't know how expensive this is going to be. She hasn't announced that yet.
No, I mean, I would imagine maybe more than
it's an
the other range. Yeah.
So the EDPs are between about 125 and 150 pounds for 50 ml.
Such incredible value.
Yeah, really.
Such good value.
Lots of them feel like X-rays anyway.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I only have 3, which are Zalame, Anubis, and Tobacco Rose, and they all behave. I've got full experience.
Bengal Rouge, which I feel that feels like an X-ray. It almost feels like an X-ray of Shalimar slightly. Anyway, let's. She's given us 2. I've already finished this one, so why don't you get stuck into? As I say, I've worn this a bit, so I've got some ideas. But you're going to get Joe's first impressions.
Right.
don't need to get it any closer, I don't think.
Oh,
I feel it opens with this kind of
that's so good.
like golden aura.
Yeah.
More than describing. I mean, we'll talk about some notes and things.
With an O, not an I, not an A. Do you mean aura, as in aura?
Yeah, well,
I was thinking Oris.
well, yes. I mean, there's
Golden
definitely
Oris.
there's definitely Oris, but I meant aura as an AU, like this, almost like a halo. This kind of shining, radiating, energetic burst.
Yeah, it's a big light, sort of immediately
Yes.
diffusive.
And I feel radiating, which is interesting for an X-ray. Sometimes an X-ray can feel a bit close. I mean, you definitely in terms of notes, the first note you smell is definitely Oris.
Yeah, Oris and orange.
Yes, Oris and orange. And that Oris,
Beautiful. Oh my
the
God.
Oris lasts. For me, I felt the Oris was the thing which went all the way through this.
Interesting.
But do you know? I just get this feeling of brightness and gold.
But it's rich as well. It's not a sort of effervescent light, bright thing. It's bright, but with there's a real core behind it. You can tell that there's much more coming up the rear.
But that's why imagine like a big. Is it with a name like Hera? When if you're thinking of a goddess, I almost feel like this gold armor plating, or do you know something solid and strong, but yet bright and beautiful.
God, that's so good.
It
So
kind
round.
of feels. It's weird as well. Like I've written here, theatrical, dramatic, and I do get that, and you get the feeling of weight you would expect from an X-ray. But I do feel there's an effort. There is a slight. It's not light and fizzy, but there is a burstingness.
Yeah,
Effervescence.
I get like an immediate radiant opening, but then almost immediately it says, right, I've got your attention. Now come with me. Come and listen to me. It's drawing me in. This is not shouting at all. This is very much inviting. I find this is really inviting my nose to spend a whole day with it. It's one of those I can tell straight away.
This is such a kind of a
really
boring way of describing perfume, but it does smell very natural, doesn't it?
It does, totally.
And I know, I'm not saying that natural. We've discussed this a lot on our channel. Natural does not necessarily mean better, but it feels like you were just slowly kind of engulfed by flowers.
Yeah. And it's very warm as well. Temperature-wise, it's like
that's why I think
pan of warm flowers.
It's the colour. I think almost it's more helpful to think of this golden warm. I've written tinged with orange as well.
Tinged is a great word.
It's because I don't think it's not as orange blossomy as I thought it was going to be at all. I think the Oris is the more prominent.
Yeah, definitely. It's big Oris. It's creamy. It's buttery, but the orange is right there behind. But it's not. Yeah, it's not like a big, bright, sort of juicy.
No.
Orange. I mean, orange blossom is a different thing, I guess. But
But I guess sometimes we would think of orange blossom maybe going in a slightly neroli direction, and this is not that at all. And the Oris, I think you're right. It's buttery and creamy as opposed to waxy and lipsticky.
Yeah. It feels very opulent. But it's not loud either. I don't find this loud at all.
No.
It's just really confident. It's sort of.
It's just.
Yeah.
There's a slight honeyed quality as well. Not nowhere near as much as the honeyed quality we got in Bengal Rouge, which is that kind of like syrupy. There's not that. It's just. We talked a bit about. So ambrette seeds listed here, and just before this video, I let Joe smell some ambrette seeds,
that's interesting.
some oil, just as a kind of reference point, because I feel the qualities ambrette feature throughout this. And later on we'll talk about the muskiness, but initially you kind of get this quite creamy, kind of golden roundness.
It is just so round. That's the thing that really strikes my nose, is that there are just no edges of any sort here.
I get a slight, ever so slight aldehydic. It's not. I would not describe this as an aldehydic fragrance at all. But the quality of aldehydes sometimes give, which is a bursting and also a slight candle waxiness.
Yeah, I do like that sometimes in a perfume.
And I wouldn't say. I don't think you would smell aldehydes, and you wouldn't. But there is an aldehydic feeling to the opening of this, I would say.
Yeah. I get what you mean, for sure.
I said a slight impression of candles, I've written down here.
Just that slight waxiness as well. It's really hard to explain, but like melting wax, honey. I'm like Aaron Terrence Hughes here.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah. I've put, and then the next thought which came to my hand is it reminded me a little bit of Under My Skin by Francesca Bianchi, but this is a less dirty, brighter sister.
Yeah, I don't get any sort of any animalic, dirty aspect here. It feels very warm and loving, and yeah, as you'd expect for the subject matter.
The next two flowers I get were rose and heliotrope. I think you're already starting to get a bit of heliotrope. I'm quite into heliotrope at the moment.
Maybe, yeah.
The complex kind of like twinges of blue and almondiness.
Definitely almondy.
That you get with heliotrope. And a bit of rose. It never becomes overtly rose.
Yeah, I'm not getting the rose yet. I think I will at some point. But
you will have been later. But I'm getting this. It does feel, we spoke in our introduction about this nod to the vintage, and I feel you're definitely getting that nod but it doesn't necessarily feel like you're stumbling across an old fragrance, does it?
No.
There's a.
I can't think of any reference to this in terms of older perfumes. It's just so inviting.
Yeah.
It's really addictive. It's not shouting at me at all. It really. I'm finding I just want to keep getting my nose in there, and finding what I'm getting that's new. And actually, I think this is going to take a long time.
Yes.
I'm trying to get something new with each smell, and I think it's a much slower experience. I'm still in the creamy orris.
Yeah.
Buttery thing, and the orange for me is already dissipating a little bit.
Yeah, I never felt the orange was that prominent. I also thought, I think this is like the second time I wore it, that there's a slight transparency to the top, because it's an X-ray and it's all about flowers, but it's not gooey. It's not like thick and heavy. And I think in the same way you get with the Shalimar X-ray, there's quite an amazing kind of transparent bergamot quality.
Yeah.
And I think actually that's what's happened here. We didn't really say bergamot, and you don't necessarily notice it, but I think it just helps add a bit of space to those florals. Yeah. Because it's not a gloopy floral X-ray.
No, it maybe gives a bit of definition and a bit of sheen at the start. But I just got a feeling of radiance rather than a pinpoint sort of bright note.
So this, and I think so.
Really
this ambret seed that we smelled just before, as a kind of reference point, it does add this kind of like creamy kind of roundness. And the other thing, it is, which I think is in here, which I also gave you, I let you smell some Narcissus Absolute, and I feel with with Narcissus, you get this feeling of just rolling around in a field of flowers.
Yeah, but I find this much friendlier. The Narcissus I found beautiful, but it was very like scorched tobacco hay.
Yeah,
I find this much friendlier. That I find that quite troubling in a way.
Well, later I feel this becomes not troubling, but it becomes not quite so bright and uplifting, and I get a little bit more of that. Not somber, but the mood has shifted from effervescent to just happy and content.
Yeah.
And I started to get a bit of that Narcissus and a bit more of the kind of mid of the Musk Ambret.
I'm getting a slight leathery thing going on, just a gentle suede-y.
But that's what I get from Narcissus and Ambret seed as well. That creamy.
The Abbey Rouge EDP does a similar thing with that slightly suede-y thing.
It's quite a Guerlain thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But also suede, you expect suede facets from Oris as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually, it makes it sort of follow through a lot, doesn't it? There are lots of links. So it's really beautiful. I mean, it's.
Can you imagine this as a wedding fragrance?
Oh, perfect! Actually, perfect.
I mean, it works perfectly as a wedding fragrance, and also the fact that you don't, as a wedding fragrance, you don't actually want anything too shouty.
No,
you don't want like a tuberose on steroids, do you?
No.
It's the thing I've read a couple of times. It smells very expensive, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I would pay good money for that.
It smells of expensive flowers.
Yeah, well, it will be. It's the quality shines through like a beacon, really. And for a wedding, everybody else is there with you, so they get to experience the day. They get the memories. They see everything that's going on. This is personal. This is for the person wearing it, I think. So that they have their own memories. When I was coming down the aisle, or when I was at the, when I was having the drinks afterwards, or I met this long lost relative. This is how I smelled, and it was my personal memory. And I think this is great for that.
It's
a very personal fragrance.
There's a surprising, it sounds weird, but understated confidence to this.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, the first kind of sprays, it is quite big, isn't it? And quite...
Just, radiance. Shouty. Yeah. There's nothing loud here. It's very understated and almost doesn't need to prove itself. It's just beautiful and sort of perfect. And then it kind of has a sort of humming, gently quality, I think.
Absolutely. Do you want to smell it for 5 hours later?
Let's see what that is.
Maybe try and give your nose a break, because it's going to feel less...
Smell my other hand, which just smells of beef and eggs. Right, let's see. Oh, a little bit more sweetness and a bit more rosy then.
Yeah. See,
I'm not getting a lot because my nose is a little bit.
So it's interesting because
short.
I wondered. I think she puts jasmine first, and when I first wore it, and you said we haven't said the word jasmine at all.
No.
And I did think, because her daughter's name was Jasmine, is it going to be a jasmine? Is that going to be front and centre? And I don't think it is, but I do think it comes in a bit later.
Can I smell it again? Sorry.
With this little bit of sweetness, and definitely the rose. I think maybe we're getting rose a bit more than jasmine.
Yeah. But I'm not getting any jasmine really.
No,
but a
little bit. But it's interesting that she puts jasmine first on this list of notes, because it doesn't. I don't think it's jasmine centric at all. What I do think is when you wear it becomes the ambrette becomes quite a feature, and it becomes quite musky, but in a completely different way to Zalame. It becomes much more a cuddly, a soft, fuzzy,
really
white,
like
cuddly musk, and ambrette is, I guess, a natural material which has that quality, but it also reminds. When Joe was describing when he was smelling ambrette seed, it smells like a kind of a synthetic white musk. That kind of cuddly, fuzzy feel, and that's what I got. Not raunch, but cuddly, fuzzy.
It's quite sensual as well.
Oh yes,
it is. Yeah. I mean, I've got to be limited in how much I go there because of the who this was designed for and stuff. Yeah. But there is a sensuality to this.
Oh yeah,
and, there's
totally.
There's it's not animalic, but there's definitely there's a little body heat there, and there's a little skin.
Oh yes, there's skin. There's
human warm skin.
There's definitely skin all the way through. I think the Ores gives that feeling of skin all the way through. Not dirty skin, fresh, clean. It's
really addictive, actually, and I can't really even describe why. I just keep wanting to go back to it, and it's quite unusual.
It also,
I've not smelled anything quite like this.
The whole thing feels like it feels very English.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I get really. There are some fragrances which you smell and they transport you to the exotic, or you think the south of France. This feels like an English garden in the summer. It feels like rolling around. I get the impression of the daffodils, of the white florals, and there's almost like a slight hay kind of feel.
Yeah, there's a familiarity to it in terms of a scene that you might be in.
Yeah.
As a perfume, I don't find it familiar at all. But if you've got to say an English garden with smells and sights that you know, and people that you know, there is that maybe.
It just feels like you spend the day rolling around in flowers on a summer's day in an English garden.
Yeah, that's a nice description. I like the kind of slight savoury edge and slight hint of sweetness that just pokes its head out a tiny little bit. It seems like a really nice balance.
I feel there are a lot.
It's quite serious as well.
There are quite a few kind of Orisy things going on in there.
Yeah.
Maybe like a tiny hint of carrot seed or something. Just.
Yeah, I'm still in quite an Orisy place at the moment.
It never goes. It doesn't go very blue Orisy. I don't think it goes more white Orisy. It's amazing. This is essentially a white floral fragrance, which is not really about white.
It doesn't smell like a white floral.
It's not like a tuberose or gardenia. It's not those white florals as well. It's somehow more a white leather, a white kind of
That orris thing gives it a real
Slightly
suede
candly.
edge.
I get this slight waxy creaminess.
I think that's really beautiful, actually, I have to say. The waxy thing, for sure. I just find it really addictive.
And it makes, and I guess those candles go with the idea of a wedding as well, don't they?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you've had the candles at church,
Totally.
the candles at dinner afterwards.
Yeah.
It's the whole fragrance feels. It does feel. Although I can't think of another fragrance which smells like it, it's much more classic and familiar than Spell 125, which is almost a little bit unsettling. This is the opposite.
It's just it's comforting, and it's an embrace, and you can tell there's love in this.
Yeah.
It just feels like a very loving, happy.
There's a lot of love. It's very it feels very elegant, very thought out, very seamless.
And I think it's really classy.
Definitely.
Not having something that shouts,
Yes.
It's quite an understated, beautiful, confident.
I mean, it's all the expensive things, isn't it? Jasmine, orange blossom, rose de mai, orris. They're all like the narcissus. They're all the most expensive smells.
Yeah.
But it does smell expensive, but it doesn't feel like it's going. Psh.
No, and nothing jumps out as being dominant. There's no fight going on here between these things.
And
it's just so beautifully.
When
blended.
I worried, the very end was this fuzzy, cuddly musk with that orris still just.
Yeah, it's still there. Just this warm, buttery thing.
I mean,
really addictive.
I know it is on my skin, but there is a slightly plump, fleshy quality to it.
Yeah, definitely. Just sort of gently meaty as well.
Yes.
Weirdly gently meaty.
Yeah, I just get this kind of slightly, plump pale flesh.
Oh God! You know what though? I mean, I have to say, if this didn't have Papillon on the front, and it was just a list of these notes, I would probably say, there's no bum hole here. There's no rotting cow's carcass that's been hit by a plane.
No oak moss node.
Yeah, what's going on? And actually, if it wasn't for the name Papillon, I probably wouldn't have been drawn to this. And now I smell it, and I realise just how judgmental I am about perfume and about notes.
I remember it's
so beautiful.
There's an early fragrance by Prince in there.
It's so appealing.
Hera or something like that, which is it's supposed to be a bridal white floral fragrance.
Oh, okay.
And again, which was absolutely beautiful, and it was one I was mesmerised by, but didn't expect.
Yeah.
Wouldn't naturally gravitate, but I would definitely wear this.
I would wear it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Imagine this as a summer's fragrance.
Yeah.
Could be your wedding fragrance if you ever organise your wedding.
If we get around to it, yeah.
Anyway.
It's so beautiful and different and confident and understated.
Yes.
It takes a lot of courage, I think, to make a perfume that doesn't try and prove itself or that doesn't shout loudly.
But it's very. Spell 125 really felt, it's a fragrance where there was some slightly unfamiliar, slightly almost disturbing things.
Yeah.
Not disturbed, but there was.
Yeah,
there was a slightly austere,
intriguing and questioning.
Yeah. Whereas this is kind of the opposite,
but
also similar, if that's helpful.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lovely.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you, Liz, for sending this sample. Thank you to Jasmine for letting your mother share this fragrance with the rest of the world.
Yeah, there's the bottle there. Give you a sneak peek of what's to come.
So released on the 16th of May in the UK and shortly after elsewhere. Liz, I hope you don't leave it too long.
No.
But until then, enjoy a well-earned break.
Yeah.
And to everybody else, till next time.
Bye.
Happy sniffing.